So, dear student, this is the last class, right? This is the last class. Okay, so I would like to show you how to draw a tree, maybe a couple of trees, right? We'll see. So, one thing we want to keep in mind about trees is that like all the organism we have seen so far, they also have a specific structure, right? Specific structures, right? In the leaves, in the spiraling of the flowers, and one thing connected with the trees, and each tree has a specific ratio, is the phyllotaxis, I think it's called. So imagine this is the tree trunk, right? It's the tree trunk, and straight, very straight, right? Because we need to make a point, right? And the bark, and so on, right? So the phyllotaxis, what it is the spiraling distribution of the branches along the trunk, meaning the branches will be distributed along a spiral, and I think, if I remember correctly, again, it doesn't really make a difference. But it's just an extra piece of information for us. The branches will be distributed along this spiral, and there is going to be a certain number of branches along one full revolution of the spiral, right? So each species has a specific number of branches along this spiraling, right? So that, imagine this, if I have a look at trunk as seen from above like this, I'm gonna see the number of branches in one revolution could be 5, could be 3, could be 8, could be whatever it is, right? But the idea is that these branches will be spaced kind of evenly in relation to each other, so they do not interfere with each other. I mean, so that the leaves that are on the branch has maximize the sun exposures, and with great benefit for the tree. So now let's look now how to approach drawing a tree, right? Tree trunk. So tree trunks are not going to be super straight, regular structure, unless you get a fir or a conifer, on a tree like that. So what we want to do is think in terms of segments, right? This segment that maybe connect with each other in change angles gradually, and the way these angles, these changes of segment, the angle of the segment is arranged, it really depends a lot, not just on the characteristic of the species, but also on the solicitation of Mother Nature on the tree, right? For example, I have a hurricane breaks down a branch, or damages the tree, and the tree will kind of be crooked, and the tree at a certain point from crooked goes back up to go straight, and so on, right? So there are going to be all this solicitation that incident, etc., that also affect the shape of the tree. So when I draw the structure of a tree, I really want to pay attention to how the branches are going to be distributed, organized around the tree, right? And have fun with that, right? So if you have trees that you can look out from your window, check them out, copy the tree from life if you can, and then try to study the structure of the tree, right? So now what I'm trying to do in here, I'm trying to now have, imagine this is maybe an old broken branch, right? But here now there is another branch that is moving toward me, so I'm gonna put it a little bit more in perspective, right? And then maybe turns again, right? And then there is a certain there's an evident pattern of fractal patterns as we look at the way the branches separate and subdivide, right, and divide. There's a fractal pattern, so we want to be aware of that, right? Okay, so and so on. See, now I keep subdividing the tree, right? And I mean the branches, right? And having fun with it, right? It could be fun, right? So, so you might have you might hear in the background my daughter singing. She's very cute, right? I cannot stop her from singing. So it could be our the background music that we have, right? Like in the movies, right? All right, so right, so you break up those patterns, right? And clearly, I mean, it seems obvious, but sometimes it's not, because sometimes I see my student, not you guys, right? The other students, doing branches that are, for example, thin at a certain point. This is the trunk, right? Thin at a certain point, and then this is the trunk, right? And then kind of widen up, and then thin again, and then they break up like that, right? So that, don't do that, right? You know that's not. So the branch, of course, law of physics, will get thinner as it moves away from the center, right? Pretty much like a human limbs, right? So that is not going to happen, right? All right. Anyway. So phyllotaxis, this distribution, the fractal distribution of the branches, right? Not distribution, but organization. How they kind of separate in. Basically, think of this in terms of fractals. You're going to have a pattern like this, right? And from this pattern here, other smaller pattern develop, and other smaller pattern develop, and so on ad infinitum, in the same pattern that you would see in a estuary, as seen from an aerial picture of the rivulets that kind of break away from the main river body, right? Or converge, or a little river that converge into a big body of water, right? So now in here, I want to have this kind of branches kind of interacting, coming in front to the big trunk in here, right? Kind of covering a little bit like this, right? Some of these will go down because they need to kind of sneak from under the main canopy, right? And so on, right? So this would be a drawing of. I'm not gonna draw too many. I gotta stop somehow, right? It's kind of compelling, but just to give you an idea how to proceed in creating the main body of the tree, right? So one thing you could do, if you have water-soluble color pencil, you could start, and these are not water-soluble, but you could start blocking in a little bit of a shading here, and I would use a color in this case, right? Because because then this kind of will blend in with the watercolor. But what I'm trying to do here, create some sort of quick sketch to show a little bit of depth. See that? A little bit of depth. Who's going behind in here, right? So who's being on front? Establish a little bit the volume of the tree, the roughness of the bark, right? And the depth, the sense of depth. I'm gonna get another coffee now, right? A sense of depth of the branches of the tree. So let's prepare a drawing of a tree like this, right? And then you can copy this if you want, right, or something similar. It doesn't have to be really realistic. It's more about understanding, or super detail. It's more about understanding how to draw, how to approach drawing the tree, right? And of course, maybe this summer or the spring, you go out to the park, get your sketch pad out, and then paint watercolors, right? Of tree. They are so beautiful. They're so relaxing to paint that it's gonna be good for you. It's gonna be good for you. Better than yoga, right? All right. So okay. So let's do that. Prepare a drawing like this, and then I'm going to come back. We're gonna start putting washes of color over this.